Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeADate.com. I want to start off by doing a little intro to a special guest we have coming on tonight, a big Stone Cold guy, and we have some Stone Cold business to talk about. I want to welcome my main man, Joe Jacobs. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you for having me, guys.
And that's the bottom line. So, welcome everyone to the show. Another Tuesday. Vince should be with us shortly. And I don't know if Kat will make it. One of the kids is sick. Hope you feel better. I don't remember which one. I apologize. But how's everyone doing? Another big week in wrestling.
Absolutely.
Everyone say hello to Tara. Tara's checking in. How are you, Tara?
How are you doing?
Hello, hello.
So Joe is a very big wrestling fan like we are. And we talk shop all day long. So I thought it was a great fit. Have him come on, see what he thinks. More than welcome to come anytime. But one thing in particular, if you have been watching social media lately, there has been a lot of talk, a lot of speculation that Stone Cold Steve Austin may possibly be returning for another match at WrestleMania, that the invitation has been extended. Not so sure if they've come to terms on anything yet. Joe has some ideas about this. Joe, if you were to ask Joe his all-time favorite, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. So he's got a great kind of thought process, and I want to see what you guys think, and then we can expand from there. But are we going to get Stone Cold Steve Austin back at Mania? There are videos. The guy looks phenomenal. Almost as good, if not even better than his prime. Joe, I want to kick it off with you, sir. What do you think is going on? What do you think is going to happen?
I think he's definitely going to be back for Mania. You know, the reason why I'm not so skeptical, because, you know, when WrestleMania season rolls around, it's always who's coming back. And the number one name for years has always been Austin. So as you see what's going on right now, it's a follow-up from where he was last year. Last year was unbelievable. Sean Ross came out with the report last year, and I think, you know, you and I touched on it before when we spoke about it privately, how he came out with the report saying that at 38, there is an offer on the table for Austin. And from there, I was like, nah. And then all the reports came out and things were leading up to it, and it actually happened. So he's reporting again now about it for 39. And, you know, it's believable, because if you see what's going on right now, you see his workouts, you see the shape he's getting in, he's getting his cardio in, and he's always said for years, you always have to have a 3 to 4 month conditioning, getting the ring rust off, getting back into shape, maybe getting on the road with the guys, and getting back in the mentality of things, of how it is when he was a pro wrestler. So the first thing that comes to mind when everyone talks about it, who is he going to face? So, you know, you got big names out there. Could it be Brock Lesnar, matching up from what happened back in the day when he walked out and didn't have the match at King of the Ring with him? Could it be John Cena? You know, John Cena is almost doing what The Rock used to do years ago, in and out when he needs to be, and, you know, like an attraction, kind of like Brock Lesnar too. That's another possibility. Or the third one that could be a little controversial, and, you know, it's a lot of talk about what's going on right now, CM Punk. What would be a more perfect time to get CM Punk back at the WWE if they were to have him in Austin for that dream match that could have happened years ago?
I mean, listen,
Exactly.
it's fucking amazing idea to a point, because let's be honest, CM Punk has burnt a lot of bridges right now, and would he be too much of a cancer in bringing him back? You know what I mean? And I'm a Punk fan. I marked out hard as fuck when it happened at AEW. You know what I mean? But is Triple H willing to say, you know, listen, I know never say never, but I don't know, man. Listen, we never thought Brett and I mean, I don't know.
Could be one.
You know, Triple H is a businessman, so I could see him. I could see him, you know, putting the olive branch out and saying, all right, listen, this is business. Let's put everything personal aside. This is what Vince would want. And I think if Vince would want it, Triple H is going to do it, because right now they have to do whatever they can to keep up and, you know, be AEW, and also put on a show, WrestleMania 39. It's in LA. you're going to have hot matches. There's rumors about The Rock and Roman Reigns, and you have to make sure that you can, deliver for the people that are going to be out there. So I think there's definitely a possibility of CM Punk coming back. They just have to set the groundwork and say, hey, you can't fuck around backstage. You can't mess around. Can't do things that you did over there. This is business. If you're coming back, we got to do it the right way. So we'll see.
Is Punk able to do that at this point, though? That's what I'm afraid of. I feel like he's too much of a loose cannon at sometimes, and that's not good for anybody. You know what I mean? Punk is becoming his own worst enemy, unfortunately. So, and real quick, this is Kevin. Good to see you, my friend, hanging out with us on his birthday. Kevin, happy birthday, my boy.
Happy birthday.
I appreciate you.
Happy birthday, brother.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Hope you have a wonderful time. Definitely celebrate after the show. And thank you for tuning in on your birthday. That's fucking awesome.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I think Austin for sure, phenomenal. I can't wait. I hope it's true and he does. It's just really who. Would Cena be great? Yeah, Cena would be great. I mean, Punk would be great. That one I think is just too far fetched. You're welcome, Kev. I don't know, man. Like who else? Like who on the roster now? Like who's there that could possibly?
Well, I know Drew McIntyre expressed interest, and he said something a few months back. I think it was right after Mania with Kevin Owens that he would love a match with Austin. And, you'd have to put him as a heel, obviously, to make sure that it went right.
He wants to go heel anyway.
That's someone on the roster that you could probably make it. Yeah, true. Exactly. So that would be cool. Again,
I got the best
you
person.
can build a groundwork with Brock Lesnar, too. And from what happened in
who's
the past,
got the best person?
recreating that.
Me.
What do you got?
Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Sami Zayn. Yeah.
Could you imagine the segments building up for that?
Hopefully no jackass.
I mean, though, I actually enjoyed that match a lot more than I should have.
I feel like with Sami Zayn, the problem is when you're putting Austin against these guys, you got to remember he's a top guy. You got to put him with someone up there, and you don't want it to be almost like either a BS squash match or someone that's really not on the roster, that's not up there in level. You want someone that's been a champion, someone that's been around that can, also guide Austin and be there as his dance partner. Kevin Owens is a perfect guy.
I will say this, though. I will say this. This run of Sami Zayn right now, kind of putting him up there. I mean, he's hotter now than he's ever been.
Yeah,
they're trademarking shit that he says just to be funny. You know what I mean? Like, fucking Uzi is now being trademarked, which is great because there'll be a T-shirt soon, and I want it.
I think they released it already.
Oh, they should leave Austin Legacy. Oh, okay. Well, now that's interesting. And Vince is here. We're gonna let him in. We need to.
What's up?
We need Vince. What's going on? Joe, Vince, Joe.
What's going on?
Joe,
Man? How's it going? What do we got? What's on the docket right now?
So we're talking about Austin and if he's going to be coming back to Mania, because this is like the hottest rumor going around. Joe happens to be like Austin's his guy. So he's got a lot of thoughts about this. Thought it would be great to kind of now we're throwing around who would be a good opponent for Austin at Mania. So Joe suggested it would be amazing if it was CM Punk, which it would be, but I don't think we're there. But he did say Cena, which that would be good. But then I said, well, what about somebody that's currently on the roster? And that's kind of where we are. And then before we really could throw that in, other than Drew McIntyre, which I do like, Kevin, it's his birthday. I don't know if you heard that.
Yes, happy birthday, Kevin.
Drew versus Austin. He thinks that they should leave Austin's legacy where it is. Now, I know that's going to rub Joe a little bit, so this should be interesting. I mean, Joe, how do you respond to that? I'll leave that to you first.
Again, Austin's had a great legacy, and like I said before, so for years, let me just tell you a little background. I would hear the stories
Here
every
we
time
go.
Mania rolls around. Austin's coming, Austin's coming, Austin's coming. And, I never believed it, and I always took it with a grain of salt. And I've been waiting for years for it to actually happen. And the last WrestleMania in Dallas, it was getting to the point where it could have possibly happened with Brock Lesnar, but nothing came to fruition. They did the segment with the New Day. He came out with HBK and Mick Foley and had their little stunt, and it was cool. It was okay, but it wasn't 100% Austin in a match. So, yes, he has a legacy, but you got to remember something. Austin's always said, why should I come back? It's almost anticlimactic. What is on the other side? Does it make sense for me? What comes from there? What happens after? Can I get a ring? Can I get a huge check for it? Sure. But what happens after the fact? So, again, I'm not so concerned about that because Austin's not going to come in and not be 100% who he was and, tarnish his own legacy. So I trust the fact that if he's coming in, he's going to do it the right way. And again, perfect example, what happened with Kevin Owens. I'm not going to lie. Every time I'm bored, I watched a match because I love reliving the moment of what happened because it was just pretty perfect, except for the fact that he didn't do his Luthez Prez. That was the only thing that he didn't do, but everything else was
But we
just
got a
awesome. It was
match.
brawl.
Like nobody expected a full-length
No.
match, and he was fucking great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a surprise.
it was a surprise. It was a great. I mean, and let's not get it twisted. Kevin Owens is never in a bad match, but you put him and Austin. It was just like poetic justice. It was just a perfect matchup. They worked well together. The chemistry was there. And yeah, I mean, it was exciting. I also want to say, Kev, as much as I value your opinion, I will refer you. I don't know if you heard the very beginning of the show. Go online and check out the recent videos, I believe on Instagram, that Austin's been putting up, training and working out. My dude, he looks as good as he did, if not better than his prime right now. I mean, look at his legs, look at his arms. I mean, he's doing his thing. So I would be excited. I was a big Austin guy myself. I understand legacy. I get it. But then that legacy also brings me to another comment. Enrique, I appreciate you checking out the show and throwing some input. Enrique, the Undertaker's around the same age. He would be an outstanding contender, but I'm pretty certain Taker is not looking to lace up the boots anymore.
Yeah, I think.
There we go,
Yeah.
Kevin. I appreciate you. There you go. So he agrees. So
That
we
is
got him back
interesting,
over.
though, to point out that we never did
converted
get
Kevin.
We
never
converted
did
him.
get an Austin Taker a Mania match ever.
That is true. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Enrique isn't wrong. That would be a phenomenal matchup. I'd be excited for it. I just don't think Taker has any desire. Like
No,
really,
yeah. No, not now.
really did hang up the boots this time. So
It's just interesting that never happened, though.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
point.
it's a
It never happened,
physical
yeah.
shape thing.
well,
for the
listen, let me
Undertaker,
say
too.
this. There's a lot of things in pro wrestling that should have happened that didn't. How about Undertaker and Sting being in the same fucking company finally and not
Yeah.
doing a even a cinematic match like they did with AJ, but with Sting? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you had the opportunity of a lifetime. The world would have exploded. Like, if you talk about a match that everybody wanted to see, I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that. Like that, I mean,
Yeah.
what else do you say? I mean, that would have been, even
'Cause
if
it
the
almost
match
happened
sucked,
a
it would have
couple
been
times.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Yeah. There were sometimes those vignettes building up like to something, and I would be like, "Oh my god, maybe this is really happening. Maybe it's Sting." And then it just was never Sting. But
Can add
Yeah.
one thing
My-
to the Sami Zayn Austin matchup
Mm-hmm.
that would
yeah,
put it over the top. You would have a promo with The Rock, Austin, and the Bloodline together.
oh,
I see what you're saying.
that would be
That
I
would-
want
interesting.
I want Sammy to go against Roman. I've been
You
saying
could
this
like
for a couple
double
weeks
main
now.
event.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Wait.
could have Austin floating around the main event, but not be in the world title.
Wait. Did you, as much as I want to see eventually Sammy like go after the bloodline and Roman and whatever, I don't want them to rush it. They have such gold right now, and they need to let this go as long as they can. I want them to forget this whole mentality that we need things to just be, turning. we like story, we like build, as long as it continues to be entertaining and funny and interesting. And Sami Zayn covers all of those with the bloodline. He made all of them break character in the middle of the ring in a heated fucking segment because he's just fucking gold right now. Like, Sami
Yeah,
can
my
do
God,
no
they couldn't
wrong.
contain
And the best
themselves.
part about Sami is he can do it in the ring too. Like,
But doesn't
he's
that
fucking
also
awesome.
then mean, Steve, that based on his performance, Sammy should be rewarded with the WrestleMania main event? Not that Stone Cold isn't a reward, I guess, but like, I don't know. I just feel like all this stuff would be pretty. It would be a big build up to a kind of a letdown if it was just Sammy versus Austin, when it really the logical thing right now is building towards Sammy against Roman.
True.
Yep. You hit the nail
I,
on the head right there, because that's a fact.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I agree with you completely. I would be totally cool with Sammy for sure. I you know, I'll tell you this too, and I've always been a Sammy fan. Did I ever think like I would think of him as a world champion? I don't know, but I can tell you I'm starting to.
Right.
And one thing that put me really over with Sammy, like more so than I thought I could have been, because I like Sammy, but his podcast interview with Austin, speaking of which,
That's yep.
Mhm.
like if you haven't seen it, one of the best ones. Like it was just a great interview, and Sammy just gave a lot of insight to things and how hard. Like, this is a guy that had to find his way, and he was just naturally great. But it's just such a great story. So yeah, I'd be okay with that. Or it could even be like Sammy's gonna do what Kevin couldn't do.
Beat
True.
Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do well. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, didn't they grow up together in the business? Didn't they do things together in the business? As a matter of fact, I think Austin said that when Kevin Owens said that he ran into Stone Cold at the airport, I think Atlanta or somewhere, and him and Sami Zayn were there, and he was asking him for skills, like what to do and like advice. And Austin said, "You got to get on the mic, kid. You got to be a silver-tongued devil on the mic." So I think they were together. Could lead to something. Yeah, it's interesting. But again, it just goes back to like a storyline buildup. You can do something with Brock Lesnar from when he walked out on him years ago. You could do something for John Cena because I forgot where it was. Oh, Batista. Batista made a comment one time years ago that the torch was passed down from Austin to Cena. So you could build off of something a little bit with that. And then, of course, CM Punk. So that's why, like I said, you kind of have to have a story background. Why is this happening? You can't just come in and piss someone off in the middle of nowhere. There has to be a reason why. And I feel like with those three especially, you could do something. Even Roman Reigns. I know he's reserved for The Rock, but let me tell you something. He was talking shit about Austin right before Mania, and he told Heyman, he told the world, and I'll smash Austin too if I had to, because everyone was doing those what chants. So, I mean,
That's true.
that could be another possibility. That could be something too.
What
But
if,
again, I know he's reserved for The Rock.
For
Yeah.
Sammy, he goes, like, I'm going to prove myself to the bloodline. I'm going to take out Austin. I'm going to do what my best friend couldn't do. Like, I'm going to prove myself to the bloodline. I'm going to take out Austin. I'm going to do what my best
Okay.
I just want the bloodline to continue as long as possible. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's just so good. And Roman, I just never really thought I'd be sitting here saying, and Roman is just the fucking man. Like, everything about him, the entrance, the fucking, he's fucking gold. And we've waited for this for so long, and now this has been what we've wanted for so long, and I'm totally good with it. And that doesn't happen very often. A lot of times you're like, all right, enough already. Like, let's move on. I'm not doing that here. They just got to keep finding opponents. Right. They just got to keep finding opponents.
Well, they have to. There has to be an evolution of this bloodline story. Like, even if you want it to continue, there still has to be some twists and turns. So, like, even if they tease that there's going to be a falling out between somebody, whether it's Sammy or whether it's Jay or whether it's Solo or whoever it is, or maybe they fall off and come back. They go away for they're mad at him for a little while and then they make back up. There's got to be some, or maybe they fall off. There have to be different ups and downs to the story.
Right.
to keep it fresh.
Well, I mean, there was that moment that you remember the night when he got the honorary Oos shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right
That was
before
great.
that was a big.
That was great.
Like, they almost
Oh yeah.
made it feel like it was going to implode right then and there.
That was
Right.
great. It was great. That was such a great segment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
that
that's what I'm
was awesome.
saying. You know, you need stuff like that where you have the
That
seeds
was
of doubt
such a
of
great
like,
segment.
Yeah, keep people on their toes.
yeah.
What you
One
don't
last
want to
thing
do,
about
yeah.
Mhm.
Go
have
ahead.
what I was going to say, what you don't want to do is have a Kurt Angle situation where you put him against fucking Baron Corbin.
Go ahead.
oh
Right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Joe, what were you gonna say?
One last thing about Austin. I think Steve, you and I talked about this, and you brought up the fact.
Well, yeah, that's
What if Austin is a surprise entrant at the Royal Rumble, and you go that
Ooh.
route, and then he actually went for the belt and had a little title run like Goldberg did? If you remember, Goldberg had that little title run. The Rock has done a little title run. I mean, if Austin's coming back for a match and he could get the title, again, it's Roman Reigns. I know he's pretty much reserved for the Rock. I guess that's what we assume. Who knows? But if he went that route, that would be interesting to see, because remember, Austin is the only guy that has won 3 Royal Rumbles, and if he gets one more and goes for the title, that would break history right there.
That would be fucking awesome. My only thing too is I think they have to figure out how to get one of those belts off Roman,
Yes.
because then it doesn't necessarily have to be Austin Roman, and you still have Roman reserved for the Rock.
There you go.
But and apparently, from what I'm hearing, Triple H has an idea already how he's going to do it. I can't figure it out. Al, so we have our used car manager, one of my good friends, Al, big wrestling fan as well, and he brought this up, which I thought was interesting, in a way that nobody gets hurt. It's actually like really a good idea. Roman just comes out and starts cutting his promo, and he goes, "I'm tired of having 2 belts. I'm the Universal Champion. Why do I need to be the World Champion when I'm the champion of the universe?" And just drop that belt and walk out, and then they start a tournament for that belt.
Yeah, but then
Nobody
nobody
gets
gets put
hurt.
over it. Like,
Roman just feels like he's above that belt and he's the shit.
so I kind of had a similar feeling, but I thought should be a triple threat match, kind of like the one where it was, who was it, Triple H? It was an Angle, Jericho, and Benoit, where there were 2 titles on the line, and it was 3 guys.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think they could do it where 3-way match, 2 titles are on the line, 1 fall is for one belt, 1 fall is for the other. Whoever the other 2 people are, person A pins person B and wins the world title, and then Roman wins the second fall and keeps the universal title. So Roman never actually gets pinned. Some other person gets pinned, and that one title spins off, and Roman still gets the last fall of the match, main event, and still has a title, and then he's still the main guy.
Well, that's good too. That's good too. I like that.
The belt thing, look, they could spin the belt thing all they want, but to me, the Universal title means jack shit, and the WWE title is the title. I'm sorry. It will never change for me.
Yeah, but that's a problem only us old people have, Eric.
Yes,
Everybody
I
else,
understand that. I understand that, but I will.
Yeah,
I will
unfortunately,
die
they
on
don't
that
give
hill.
a shit what you think, but I happen to agree with you.
there are kids who are watching now that weren't born when that title was, like, as soon as they were born, that title already existed. You know what I mean? Like, they're 6 years old.
Right.
There's always been a universal title.
Damn kids.
That's a good point too.
Right?
Kevin says it's either Sammy or Jay that's going to cost Roman the title loss. Remember this date today when he says it. So, I mean, I happen to agree. Like, that's definitely in the cards. They've already kind of teased it.
Right.
They'll continue to tease that too. Because Sammy, he's going to be annoying to Jay. You know what I mean? That's not going to change.
But I think, wasn't it Kevin who, or I think it was Kevin or someone had said something recently on our show where it kind of all started with Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. And I think it was Kevin.
I don't know. I kind of want it to be Sammy because I don't want it to be somebody that's actually a part of the bloodline. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, you don't want to
all
break up that tag match.
right. So, all right, I want to shift gears for a minute because something else is happening, and I want to know everyone's opinion. I'm kind of on the fence, and I'll explain why. But Wyatt's return match is going to be against LA Knight. So LA Knight is fairly new when it comes to the main roster. He was this horrible model guy and then quickly went back to LA Knight. Thank you, Triple H. That's a good thing.
You're gonna be a model.
Right.
But
Take your shirt off.
Put some oil on. Damn it. So
He's not Michael Nakazawa.
but then you now are putting him up against Wyatt, who's no way in hell gonna lose. So how does that help LA Knight so young in this new? But at the same time, I'm glad we're finally getting Bray Wyatt in the ring.
Right, for sure. Because
let's go down the road. Vince, go ahead. You first.
Because Steve, I was going to say something because I know you're the probably out of everybody the biggest support. Like everybody likes Bray Wyatt, likes what he's doing. You're the biggest supporter of him, I think, on the podcast.
Fucking A.
It was starting to fall into that realm of. It was weird that Bray Wyatt was showing up on TV and nobody else was acknowledging it and nobody was talking about him and he wasn't wrestling. And it was just like it was time. So I'm just glad he's out there. I don't care, he can beat LA Knight in 2 minutes. It doesn't hurt LA Knight because it's like losing to The Undertaker. It's like losing to Steve Austin. You're losing to Bray Wyatt, this kind of over-the-top character. He can go back down to the mid-card and challenge for, the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, or whatever easily because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when you lose to a main eventer like that and you're so far below him, it really doesn't do it. That's not going to hurt you.
Okay, that's fair. Joe, what do you think? Oh, good, Vince. Go ahead.
No, so I just think it's the right time to pull the trigger on Bray Wyatt wrestling again because people want it, and I'm done.
No, so I just think Vince, you bring up a good point because it reminds me of Velveteen Dream, right? And it kept challenging Aleister Black, and he wanted him to say his name. He lost to Black, but he still got him to say his name. So, like, even though he lost, he still got over.
Right.
Yeah.
So
good, but yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Apparently, LA Knight, wasn't even phased with Bray Wyatt. Like he shows he could stand his own ground, and Bray Wyatt's always been like that creature kind of character, that like almost mystical Undertaker kind of guy, where like when he comes out, it's like, whoa, what is this? Could it be something with him getting into Wyatt's group? Eventually, doing something like that down the line. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, maybe something like that. Could it be something with him getting into Wyatt's group?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that it's LA Knight because he's the way you're describing it is right. Like it's a character that like he's not phased by Bray Wyatt, and I think it's because I don't want to say he's delusional, but LA Knight, the character, is so full of himself. He doesn't care that it's a supernatural guy or whatever. You know what I mean? He's just like he's delusional, but so I think it's a good choice for a first match. But he doesn't care that it's a supernatural.
But it also means more when he breaks the confidence.
Yes, yeah, the confidence because everybody else would be spooked. Everybody else should be scared of him. He's not.
Yeah. So once
Kevin says, I like Knight, but him versus Bray, no. Bray could versus someone else. Knight could be over.
Well, yes. Listen, he re-debuted. He should get a win, but this is the world we live in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, either way, I'm just excited Bray's getting back in the fucking ring. And we'll obviously find out more in regards to Uncle Howdy and the other characters, I'm sure, even during. So it should be interesting. Like something big is going to happen, I think. I just don't know what, but I think something big is going to happen.
Oh, man. I think
almost like it's going to be a squash and then something's going to happen. You know?
Well, yeah. Can I make my bold prediction on what it is?
Yeah. Go
What's
ahead.
that?
So you know how whenever they're like the lights would turn out or the camera would cut and like Happy Bray would turn into the Fiend with the mask.
Yeah.
They're going to do that, but instead of everybody's going to expect Bray to transform into a character, the lights are going to go out. Bray is going to be there still regular, and Uncle Howdy is going to be in the ring next to him. It's going to be a human, whether it's Bo Dallas or somebody else in the mask.
Ooh.
They're going to set it up where you're like, oh, he's going to transform. And it's like, nope, there's a second guy in the ring. This isn't just Bray Wyatt. There's some other funky shit going on here.
Oh, I fucking like it.
I like it. Book
I
it.
like it a lot. I do. I like that. I like that. Joe, what do you think?
I like it. Book it.
All right, we lost Joe. That's I like that a lot. I
Yeah.
don't even know how I would tweak that unless instead of Uncle
Sorry.
Howdy showing up, it's like somebody else as the Fiend or something.
Right.
Joe,
or
what do
another
you
another
think of that?
person
Did
in
you
a
hear
Fiend
that?
mask.
I heard it. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened. I was reading something and trying to go back.
No, you're good.
I think Bray Wyatt has to build himself back up from where he was years ago because, again, he hasn't been around for a little while. So him interaction with someone like this to build him up, I guess, is a good idea. I'm interested to see where Bray Wyatt goes. I'm interested to see where it goes with all the other characters. Again, I think LA Knight could be a guy in his group of Wyatt Six or whatever they're going to call it. But I want to see Bray Wyatt use his demeanor, his style from what he's had in the past, like him and the Undertaker, that chemistry. I'll never forget him at WrestleMania with Taker was just unbelievable with a character like that. Like imagine seeing Bray Wyatt in a Sting character, someone like that can push him over to the next level. I would love to see something like that, but again, I don't know in WWE who would make sense for him to do that with right now. It's hard to say.
It's tough, but Vince has an idea that at the pay-per-view, like let's say it's like a squash or whatever, and then like every time the lights go out, somebody appears, but it winds up being Uncle Howdy, whoever is going to be playing Uncle Howdy. And
is Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas? Is that him?
I mean, that's what everyone's thinking, right?
Yeah, he also
somebody said that in one of the promos there was an earring that matched what Bo used to wear, and I don't know. So Kevin says, I wonder, has Bray learned something new in his wrestling arsenal? Like, is there a new finisher for Bray? Note Bray been out of the ring being the Fiend for a while. Ring rust. I mean, anyone could have ring rust, but you got the Performance Center. I'm sure he's been prepping and getting ready. So I think he'll have some rust for sure, but I don't think he's one of those guys that'll work through it and make it look good, in my opinion. I think.
I think so.
A new
too.
finisher, that's very possible. Very possible that he had some.
I agree.
Shit to
I think it's time because you can't call it if the Sister Abigail story is over, you can't call the finisher Sister Abigail. Just he's got to do something else. Maybe like a running big boot or something, like a power, because he's like a big guy. I know he's slimmed down, but he's still like a big guy. He should do like a power move, like something that just knocks you out, like almost like a Judas effect or a diving elbow or a big punch or something. Like, I don't know, something like that, where it's like, oh shit, this guy runs up, bang, and just hits you like a pounce or whatever, and boom, and you're out.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
You know what would be interesting,
I wonder
but too bad he's injured. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and Bray Wyatt going at it, doing something.
I wonder.
Well, I mean, listen, Cody's going to be back sooner than later, so I can definitely see that happen. That'd be great. Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. He's going to be at the Rumble. I think him, Orton, Charlotte, they're all going to come back. If Sasha's coming back, it'll probably be at the Rumble. I think there's going to be quite a few surprises at the Rumble this year. Yeah. We didn't have many last year, I don't think.
Steve, so not to completely backtrack, but I had a thought that just came to me about the Steve Austin thing because of a few names that you brought up. What if Steve Austin, and I know I'm kind of throwing Rollins under the bus with this U.S. title, but hear me out. What if Steve Austin comes back and beats Rollins for the U.S. title because he, as Steve Austin would say in his promo, was one of the best WCW United States champions, so he wanted to win that belt to kind of bring it back to where it was when Austin had it back in the day. And then Austin has a title for WrestleMania. It's not the world title because Roman has both of them, but he's got a U.S. title going into WrestleMania.
You want my thought on that?
As long as
I
he
just
doesn't,
heard Joe's voice three times over. That was weird.
as long as he doesn't lose to Hacksaw Jim Duggan in 30 seconds.
Already had.
My thing with that, I don't know, because let me ask you this: would you bring Brock Lesnar back to do something like that?
Probably not.
Or-
I see what you're saying.
Right. So, like a big name like that, I don't think he would waste his time with something like that. Like I said, you got to give him to a top guy. You're not going to bring The Rock back, Undertaker, Austin, or any of these big names back for something like that. It'd be a waste of time. Now, can Austin and Rollins go at it? I can definitely see some chemistry there because Rollins would be a
Austin Rollins
great guy to amazing. And as a matter of fact, I think I told Steve
Rollins
this
is
a couple
great
years ago.
in the ring.
Yeah, he's awesome in the ring. He'd be a great dance partner for Austin. But a few years ago, right when COVID shutdown was happening, Austin was going to appear in Pennsylvania. I forgot where. I guess Philadelphia. And I was actually going to get tickets for the show, but then they got shut down, and he had to come out with no crowd at the Performance Center, if you guys remember. So he was going to have a segment with Seth Rollins. That would have been cool to see him going at it with him for Austin 316 Day, I think it was. So I could definitely see some chemistry with him and Rollins. That would be interesting to see. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think Rollins is a top guy that could also carry. Like, you needed a guy like Kevin Owens, who whenever Kevin Owens goes in there, tries to put on the match of the night. Rollins is the same kind of guy who could take an older guy because he wrestled Sting. I know he fucking broke his neck, whatever. But Rollins is a guy you can put in there with a legend and have a good match.
Mm-hmm. Hands down, I can't agree with you anymore.
And he can start doing the pedigree again, like taunting Austin with the pedigree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, but
I'm almost more interested in the reveal of the full six. Like, I like how they're taking their time, they're dragging it out, but they're keeping it good and interesting and making you want to keep tuning in. Like, most people right now are tuning into Friday night for Bray Wyatt.
It's Bray Wyatt and the Bloodline, and everything else is far, far behind.
Yeah, and Raw needs to step it up.
Going on Raw. It's a 3-hour show with nothing going on.
Yeah, you got to fill it up.
But I will tell you, SmackDown, we got the return of the Viking Raiders. Some controversy there too, because what's her face is now their manager, which should have been Sarah Logan, who should have been
Sarah Logan,
from the start anyway. But there's some controversy, I guess, with her face paint that she straight up copied it from something. I don't know. You guys?
So there's a non-binary wrestler called Max the Impaler. They work for Impact Wrestling right now, and they kind of do a barbarian style outfit, like Mad Max, barbarian-ish, with the dreadlocks on top and then a shaved underneath, and then black war paint with a blue stripe across the front. If you go on, there's actually been screenshots so that'll compare them. So if you go online and you if you Google Sarah Logan and Max the Impaler, there are screenshots out there that compare the outfits and the makeup, and it's hard to say that. I can't say for 100% that Sarah Logan ripped off Max the Impaler, but what I can say is that there's imagery out there from barbarian stuff and Viking stuff and Horizon Zero Dawn, the video game, and stuff like that, where those kind of influences are out there. Mad Max, I mentioned that before. So I can see how they can both come to the same conclusion just by being fans of the same kind of media. But
you know what? It's
really, oh god, it's so close. You'd look at them and it looks like somebody copying homework. So,
everything is copied from everything. What does it even matter anymore?
Well, just only because now the costume and all that it looks almost identical is being used on WWE TV is by somebody who's been doing it for 5 or 6 years. They feel some kind of way about it. I understand. Listen, I get it. I understand your point too, Eric. Is everything, especially in wrestling, everything's a copy of a copy. But I'd be mad. I'd still be mad if it happened to me.
I get it. And they're gonna look at it as an opportunity to get paid. That's what it comes
But
down to.
but at the same time, Sarah Logan's been like with this whole Viking theme for a long time too.
Yeah. They're very into the Viking stuff. They
It's
had
like
a
a
Viking
fucking
wedding and all that
lifestyle
other
for
shit.
them,
I mean, I don't know. It's look at what's going on with Orton's tattoo artist sued
Oh, that's wild.
because of the imaging, and they won. Like they're going through a fucking appeal now.
Mm-hmm.
Because what precedence does that say? Now any tattoo artist can sue anyone and say, well, like, are you fucking kidding me? You're paying money that's yours.
There should be an agreement. Like there should be an agreement that if you're an artist, like, and I guess you have to get this. This might be a new thing that you have to put in a tattoo release, that the rights to the art are partly retained by the artist and partly retained by the person who has it permanently on their skin, because
Doesn't that make fucking sense,
they
though?
paid for the art. It's a commission.
Was it about the video game?
Yeah. So now
there was a suit against WWE and 2K games, I think, right?
Yeah, so it's 2K games. Yeah, basically what they're trying to do now is this would set a precedent for anybody who's designed an original tattoo that is on a athlete, a wrestler, whatever, and there's a new WWE game or a new NFL game and their tattoo is visible. The part of that now, based on this legal thing, depending on how the appeal shakes out, the part of the money, you have to compensate the artist who did the tattoo art because you're showing their art in your game. So it's now like
Such
a copyright
fucking
infringement
bullshit.
almost to do it.
But nothing was on Orton himself, though, right? Like he's off the hook for stuff, right?
No, not on Orton.
Oh, yeah,
personally.
no,
It's- right.
Yeah. No, that's they're not beefing on him. That's not his fault.
That's
But
crazy.
it's fucking
But, like, what does she
ridiculous.
hold against that? Like, does she own the rights to that? Like, is there
Well, that's
anything
what they're-
signed? Like, if you have to use it you have to pay me royalties or something? I mean, come on.
Yes, exact. That's the argument, is that I designed this art and now this art that's on this guy's body is in your video games. I want a piece of that because part of the presentation of his wrestling character, and part of the presentation of the game is my art. So I understand both sides of it. It's just like, it's now in the hands of a court to make a ruling.
It's just ridiculous. Like, even Kevin, can we say the Road Warriors were copied by the Warlord and the Barbarian and Demolition? I mean, he's not wrong. If you're going to go that route, it was very similar in terms of face paint. And I mean, Demolition kind of changed it up, all the time. But I don't know.
Right, but there was
I
always
think
something
it's
that one
stupid.
company had that the other company would kind of copy.
Yeah, it's just fucking stupid.
Even like Goldberg and Stone Cold, there was a lot of things that saying, "Oh, Stone Cold ripped off Goldberg." So Goldberg ripped off Stone Cold. So now they were just both big bald guys with goatee. Like it was every bald guy in the '90s had a goatee. Like, I'm sorry, that's just what it was.
I do want to say this though, in speaking about SmackDown, one thing that I really liked about SmackDown, it started off with a match. The match went about 30 minutes, and it's up there in tag team matches of the year. The Usos and the New Day once again put on a hell of a fucking match for the titles, and the Usos retaining makes them officially the longest reigning tag team champions in history, which is fucking amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
And there's a classic rivalry, like the New Day and the Usos have become the modern tag team rivalry.
I really appreciated Barrett for this in commentary during that match. He said they're the new I'm gonna mess this up now. What he's you guys are the new Rock and Roll Express.
Midnight Express.
Yeah, it's
right.
the Midnights and the Rock and Roll. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I see a lot of comparisons to that.
So
absolutely,
I mean,
you could compare them to like the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys. Like they're the new era of the of the tag team champs or tag team wrestlers. Of course, yeah,
100%. And the Usos are amazing. They really are. They're such a great team. I mean, it helps being brothers and like you just know each other like that. But fucking A, man, they're good. They're all good. You can't shit on the New Day. Those two are workhorses also, man. It's awesome. But I am excited that the Viking Raiders returned and attacked Hit Row, because that could be
they
great.
beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, but that could be a really great match. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
You see the guy.
Actually, I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I just thought of this, just it came to mind, the Usos, would they have had this much success if there was no bloodline, if there was no Roman Reigns changing things?
Yes, I think so.
They were doing that because they had the Uso penitentiary thing. Like they came in with no shoes on and the face paint and acting all like tribal Samoan.
Right, the Samoan.
Then they
thing.
finally hit their stride. Like they changed up their look.
Yeah,
they were putting on them in the New Day before the Bloodline thing. Were putting on like that Hell in a Cell tag team title match and all that shit. So like they were still on a trajectory, but this Bloodline thing I think definitely elevated them past where they could have been if there wasn't a Bloodline.
Good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, when you're associated with the Samoan dynasty, you know what I mean? Like that just speaks volumes. Like when you come out to your tribal chief, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just when we get the Rock and we finally get the Rock and Roman, because I really in my heart believe this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. We get this at Mania. I want nothing but the front row to be the Samoans. I want to see Alpha. I want to see all of them. The Rock's mom. I want to see everybody. Whoever the fuck is alive, I want them sitting in there.
Rikishi.
Bring, yes, 100%.
Hell, even the cast of New Rock.
Oh yeah,
you could put them in there.
Yeah, why the fuck not? Oh yeah, but
now
everybody from the nation.
How do you build that?
Oh, how do you build what?
How do you build that match? Like, how do you start it off with the Rock and Roman? Like, did the Rock show up out of nowhere like he did years ago, and just talk shit to Roman Reigns? Or like, how do you build that? How do you start that? You know, how do you get the ball rolling on it? How would you book that?
That's a really good fucking question.
Can I?
Go ahead.
My brief suggestion is that whatever pay-per-view they're going to set this up at, you know, Roman has to win definitively, and either that night right after the title match or the next night on Raw or SmackDown or whatever, they're going to have a special celebration, head of the table, whatever, and Roman comes out and starts talking smack, and he's like, I'm the head of the table, and you know, my ancestors and this and that and all that, and he starts talking about like Alpha and Sika, and they were a great tag team, but I'm a world champion. And like talking about all these guys, like there's nobody in the Samoan dynasty that's, you know, that has the legacy and the title lineage that I do. And in the middle of all his gloating, if you smell, and then the fucking music hits and the people lose their minds.
I agree with that. And I think for time, I think this takes place the SmackDown directly after the Royal Rumble.
You took the thought right out of my head there, Steve.
Right, because now we're starting the road to WrestleMania. So he doesn't have to be there all the time, but he can come out on that SmackDown and do exactly what you just said, because I love that setup, and then go from there. I mean, The Rock, if he comes back to do this, he's going to promote it, which means he's going to show up a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be we're going to see him on that show and then we won't see him again till Mania. We'll see him a few times. But man, I hope this works out, because that right there gives me some goosebumps, because I just, The Rock is the shit. I would love to see him come back and see those two fight to see who the true head of the table is. That's more important than a title at that point. You know what I mean? Like that's,
yeah,
I love it. Kevin says, The Rock says, Roman, you know, I'm the head of the table, but you, Roman, are the head of the kids' table. Right. I mean, it would probably be something like that, actually, knowing The Rock.
Or you could say something like, before you were the head of the table, I was the head of the table.
Or when did
I
ever
tell
say
a story
I
about
down?
Thanksgiving, the you know, the Samoan dynasty Thanksgiving, where Roman and the Usos were at the kids' table, and The Rock was at the adult table eating poontang pie or whatever. Like,
well, did you guys hear? He was doing an interview with some woman, I don't know, but he was promoting Black Adam, and then she says, "Can I ask you?"
Yeah.
Right, and then she says, "Can I ask you a different, like, off topic?" And she goes, "Your cousin Roman keeps saying that he's the head of the table, the tribal chief. How do you feel about that?" you know, do you acknowledge him as the head of the table? And he just gets that rock smile, you know, and he looks at her and he goes, we both know you're looking at the true head of the table. And she goes, does that mean you're confirming that you're going to be at WrestleMania? And he goes, no, I am not confirming that. But he basically said, the powers that be, I know they're there. I love to promote things. I love the business. I love WrestleMania. You know, but no, I'm not confirming anything. So that tells me if he can make the time to do it, I think it's happening. And it's in Hollywood. Like, come on.
Yeah. Also, Black Adam not doing as well in the theaters as they thought it would. So maybe Rock takes a little break from making the movies.
Well, that's because it's
Kinda.
DC.
You know,
I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was much better than I thought it was. I liked the story. I liked the action. And I loved how Superman came out at the end during the credits.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, but
We
also,
need to
like,
talk.
But
Yeah.
budget, like box office wise, whatever it was that just came out this weekend, Black Adam went out for like 2 weeks, and whatever the number one film is this weekend made all that money in one weekend. So it's like
He had
it's
a
doing great
good.
for DC
He had a
movie, but it's
good.
just like, you know.
But he had a good opening couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like they were strong numbers. I think.
Yeah, they were. I forget what came out this week. I'm usually on top of that, but I remember reading that it topped Black Adam's box office from one weekend, which is kind of crazy. But you know, it's almost like sometimes you want The Rock to do bad at everything else, so then he has to like come back to wrestling for a little while. So maybe this is what we needed. Even though the movie I hear is good. It's been confirmed
I think
by
it's about
several
Black
people.
Panther. I think because Black Panther just came out. That's why.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's
Wakanda
why.
Forever smushed it. That's why. That's
Yeah.
why.
Of course, yeah.
That's gonna smash anything. I mean, that's,
Yeah. So I mean, you can't look at that. But
You know, I don't know if you guys saw AEW last week. I'm sure you did. I did want to acknowledge Paige's amazing promo.
Yes.
Very
yeah.
impassioned,
Joe and I were
very
just
oh man,
real.
I'm looking forward to that match.
That promo got me to want to buy the pay-per-view and spend the money.
I'm just happy she's wrestling again, man. Because you know she's another one like Daniel Bryan, like Edge, and a couple others that you're like, they're done forever. Especially with her being done in her early 20s, mid 20s. It seemed like really unfair that she didn't get another.
And you
go
know
at
what's
this.
crazy? She's only just turned 30.
Yeah, she's got a lot of, as Mark Edwards says, she's got a lot of gas left in the tank.
She just has to protect herself, man. I
Absolutely.
just,
Yeah.
I'm
Protect
worried,
your
but
neck.
you know, but all these people online, just to be clear, that are running their mouths saying that, oh, Tony Khan's just pushing it through. Like, stop. Tony Khan's not looking to put anybody in harm's way. If she truly was not cleared 100% by actual doctors, she would not be getting back in the ring.
She has a letter from a doctor on head, you know, like the letterhead from the doctor with a signature that says whatever her real name, Soraya, this, that, and the third, Knight, is cleared for all physical activity, including professional wrestling, signed by a fucking neurosurgeon. Like, a neurosurgeon is not going to put their reputation and medical malpractice insurance and livelihood on the line to clear some weirdo that they're probably never going to talk to again.
Yeah,
they're
I
not
mean,
just
it's
not
not
going
like
to
it
take
was
that
cleared
risk.
by Dr. Drake Rumore.
Yeah, whoever it was like a really
That was good.
renowned doctor.
That
Yeah,
was good.
unless it was
This is
what
a
was
real
that doctor that used to have
neurosurgeon.
come out on old WWF shows?
Yeah,
And some
no,
weird
I mean,
doctor who was like
she's
really
cleared,
just a
she's cleared.
chiropractor.
But and I'm glad that it's with Britt. It's gonna be a great match.
She's
And,
like
I'm
the
looking forward
perfect person for her first match back.
yeah, for sure. For
Perfect
sure.
person. 'Cause
Speaking of coming back for a match, did you guys hear about Ricky Steamboat?
No, what's going on? with
senior
Steamboat?
or junior?
Senior at 69 years
Jesus.
old, Big Time Wrestling streaming bundle announced they have a show with his in-ring return and scheduled for November 27th in North Carolina.
Oh, of
What
course
is he?
it's BTW. Those guys, they are a big indie. So they're the other one. The only other comparable indie of that size is probably Northeast Wrestling, where they consistently run multiple thousand seat shows every year, including other shows that draw 500, 600, 700 people. So they have a big budget, and they bring in guys like they brought in FTR managed by Bret Hart. Like when they want to really pack a show and sell it out,
Well, they're
they
going to
put
be at
on
that
some
same
big shit
show.
like that. So I'm not surprised that they offered enough money, but I just didn't think, based on all the health problems that Ricky had, I didn't think he'd be able to come back. He's also 78 years old or something.
Yeah, they said he's just turned 69. I'm shocked at that too. Actually, even Ric Flair. Oh, wow. Yeah, I thought he was older too. Even like Ric Flair coming back from a match. Like all these guys, it's crazy at these old ages doing this.
Well, yeah, and Ricky was supposed to be his opponent on that, and then backed out because I think Ricky saw the handwriting on the wall that match was going to be a fucking disaster.
Two old guys going at it, no way.
Well, and it kind of was. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Kevin announced. So Kevin just said on the screen something about Ricky's going to be in North Carolina, probably also with Big Time.
Yeah, dude, FTR is going to be there too.
Interesting shit, man.
All right. Well, and on that note, Vince, we are at top of the hour.
Oh my God, these shows, the hour is blowing by. There's always so much to talk about.
You're not kidding. Had a great time, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Yeah, man.
Anytime, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Come on, anytime. You're always welcome.
Love to have you back.
For sure, man. Thank you for coming on. Happy birthday to Kevin in our comments section there. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. You could be out doing a lot of other things on your birthday. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you to Tara, our honorary Oos.
Right. Yeah. Kevin and Tara are in the group. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. You're dope too, brother. So thank you guys for joining us. This is the top of the hour. We're gonna finish things up. If you want to, follow us on social media, it's at TagMeADate. That's TagMeADate with no spaces. It's all one word. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope, Facebook, TikTok. Steve's on LinkedIn, and you just follow us on social media at TagMeADate. You'll search it and you'll find it. For our live streams, we're on YouTube at TagMeADate. You put TagMeADate into the search bar on YouTube, hit subscribe, and hit the bell, so you know when we go live or you know when we upload a video. And on Twitch, we're twitch.tv/War Report, and War Report is also one word, WARREPORT. If you prefer an audio version rather than the video version of the podcast, the video version streams on Facebook, video version streams on LinkedIn, and the video version streams on Twitter/Periscope as well. So we're all over the place. We stream a lot of different sources, but the main ones that people usually search for are the YouTube and the Twitch. Those are there. If you prefer the audio version instead of the video version, you can go to your favorite podcast apps such as Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. Search for TagMeADate or search for The War Report. When you search for The War Report, there are 2 wrestling podcasts called The War Report. Just look at the icon, the graphic that's on there in the description. It's going to say TagMeADate, or it'll say Steve, or it'll say Vince in there. You'll know it's us based on the description and the icon, because TagMeADate is going to be there on the graphic for the podcast. So just be sure to subscribe. And when the live stream goes off the air, within the hour of us going off the air, Ryan is nice enough to upload the audio version to your podcast apps. And that'll do it for this week. All I can say is if you're having fun and you like the show, tell other people about it. We live stream every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. on Eastern Time. Adjust your clocks as necessary. So we'll be back again next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another live edition of The War Report. Tell your friends, hop in the comments, submit some questions. We'll talk all things wrestling next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great week, everybody.